What is an engineer? When we say the term engineering to our students, there are a lot of misconceptions. These are some images of what a lot of students may think of when they think of engineer. They might not be wrong, however, we want to go deeper than just those original thoughts. They could think of construction workers. They could think of someone driving a train. They could also think of someone building a bridge. My definition of engineering is a process of defining a problem followed by designing and constructing a solution to the problem. I teach 4th and 5th grade. There are a lot of different ways to help students at this age really understand what engineering is past the surface level of people building something. Engineering is found in every component of our lives. Almost everything we use daily is man-made and required an engineer to build. Phones, houses, schools, cars, iPads, and tablets, the list goes on. Brianna Draxel writes an article on teaching kids to think like engineers. In that article, Cunningham states that it's vital for elementary students to experience engineering and technology if they will succeed in the 21st century. Students should be solving real-world problems using math and science to come up with solutions. There are a lot of different ways that we can change our classrooms to help students understand engineering at a younger age. When we see that math and reading can be integrated into our science and engineering topics, we can take our learning to the next level. By integrating these together, we allow more time to be dedicated to problem solving and researching. We also have more buy-in from students using real-world application for reading and math with our NGSS standards. We also need to start using language in our classrooms that helps students see themselves as engineers. We should allow for more opportunities to try something and fail. Robotics and invention competitions can spark the interest of STEM careers and offer opportunities for innovation and creativity. What is the engineering design process? The engineering process is a set of steps created to help guide students through the engineering design. There are many different models that different sources use. I looked at a lot of different websites as well as the NGSS website for my grade level to see what 4th and 5th grade students should be expected to know. This model with a 3-step cycle from NGSS states that students need to be able to define, specify criteria and constraints that a possible solution to a simple problem must meet, develop solutions, research and explore multiple possible solutions, and optimize and prove a solution based on results of simple tests, including failure points. This is the model that they came up with for 3rd through 5th grade. However, there are actually a lot of models out there that can be used for students in the elementary schools. I think some of these are more kid-friendly in their terms and wording, but they all basically say the same thing, that students should be able to identify a problem, explore and come up with a design, create that design, try it out, and be able to go back and resolve that design to make it better. There are times when the scientific method and the engineering method get confused. However, they're very different for distinct reasons. Scientists are performing experiments to study how nature works, while engineers are creating things. There are specific times when we would use the engineering method or design. These could include creating a website, designing a product or an environment, taking things apart, putting them back together, coding, robotics, and many other things. With different goals in mind, the process is very different. There's a diagram on this page that shows how the scientific method and the engineering method are different, where scientists are asking a question, doing research, creating a hypothesis, and then working through procedures to come up with a conclusion. Engineers are defining a problem, doing research to come up with a solution for that problem, testing some prototypes, and then coming up with a conclusion or product to finish it up. I subscribe to the newsletters from Teach Engineering. This website has loads of resources. It is aligned with NGSS standards for all grade levels K through 12. It has lesson ideas, activities, types of engineers, which I would definitely use for my students to do some more research on what kinds of engineers there are, as well as correlations with math standards. For my activity, I did an engineering activity that models turning wind power into energy. I made a windmill from a diagram on a piece of paper and a pencil. I was able to then lift a cup by putting air into the windmill with just a string. I would ideally do this activity with students as a way of introducing the lessons that I created for the following slides, which was my energy unit. This activity would be very affordable, having most of these items at school, and it did not take a lot of prep time, and fifth graders should be able to handle this with no difficulty. This would align with the engineering standard for fifth grade as well. If I were to do this with my students, I would challenge them to find a way to improve this model and be able to carry something in the cup. As I showed in the last picture, I put pencils, a pen, and another pen, but I wasn't able to lift the cup with all of those items in it. So I would challenge them to find a way to make this model better. I put together an engineering unit where students can answer this driving question: how can we, as environmentalists, find a way to conserve energy? On this slide, I listed the standards that we would be using, integrating reading, writing, and science. On this slide, I put an overview of the 4 weeks that we would be working on this and what the students would be working on. In week 1 and 2, we would be doing a lot of research. Students will learn about different sources of energy and their impact on the earth. And then in week 3, we would start doing some writing and researching in our own personal lives about how we can look more closely about the ways that we're using energy in our schools, houses, and cars, etc. And students will be determining a way that we're wasting energy. And then in week 4, they'll work in groups. They'll use the engineering process to create something to conserve energy in the student's home or school. They'll determine how they're wasting energy, and then they will come up with a solution, a design, and then build something to help conserve energy, test it, and make adjustments as needed. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed this unit because I feel like we so frequently skim over the engineering standards, and I feel like this really allowed me time to dig deeper into what the engineering design is and how to get my students more involved in this process and introducing it to our students.